Hello and welcome to another episode of the TF Cast. Today's date is January 12th, 2022.
With us today, we have not one, but two returning guests for completely different projects. So we're extremely excited to bring back on Amanda Wierig and Laura Schultz to talk about our upcoming our upcoming Capture TF Live session with Given Names.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
We're doing it.
So, well, let's just like get into it right away with the addition. The band has grown.
Yeah.
Let's address it.
Let's, absolutely. This is Mandy Wierig, and she plays with us now. We've had approximately 5 shows total. So we're very prolific.
Well, COVID's kind of
yeah.
put a
It-
damper on
It
things.
sure did. It impacted many things. But you've played 2 shows with us.
Mhm.
The one in Winona, which was so fun.
Yeah, it was a blast.
So
yeah.
fun. It felt like we were a real band. Like every other time.
We are a real band.
Right, we are, to be clear. But every other time I was really nervous. And that time in particular, I felt like, okay, I know these songs.
Well, that's because we did our power stance beforehand and
That's
everybody
true.
thought we were witches.
Yeah, that was pretty great.
So.
What's the power stance?
It's just that one
Oh.
where you're all
Yeah.
holding, touching hands. And
That does sound powerful.
it was.
It works.
It made a difference.
No one left though. No one was like, "They're witches. We're leaving."
No, I think they were intrigued.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
they're
it
like,
was
"They're
more that.
witches. It's cool."
Mhm.
Good crowd. Good crowd.
Yeah.
Good crowd.
Yeah.
Those are the people we want to associate with.
Certainly.
What's the full lineup then? You got you're singing and
Yeah.
playing guitar.
Mhm.
You're also singing and playing guitar.
Yep.
Is anyone else singing and playing guitar or
Not enough.
No,
Okay.
no other guitar players.
That's it.
okay?
I play piano one time, and then Megan Irwin plays the synth all the time and sings,
Cool.
and then Michelle Roche plays the drums and sings.
Everyone sings all the time.
Yeah. It's my favorite thing. We talked about it last time, how communal singing is just a balm to my spirit. And so anytime we can all sing, it's just, oh man, I love it so much. Unison, harmonies, I'll take it all.
Mhm. It's great.
Yeah, and they are into it, which makes a difference for sure.
So we're getting ready to shoot a capture where you'll play a couple songs, and you're also maybe more interesting to talk about is you're writing an album. It sounds like, or you're recording some stuff.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
Well, Laura is the songwriter for the band, and she got a grant from Prairie Lakes.
That's right.
So,
Nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's super exciting. So we're going to start recording. It was February 20th.
Yeah.
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 We're making a record.
Super excited. It feels really good to kind of get a snapshot of these songs as they are right now, because they've only existed live or in video form. So really excited to kind of arrange them as a group. I mean, they're all pretty well arranged, but if we want to add anything else, add any harmonies. And then I know for me, maybe you could speak to this too, Mandy, but for me, recording an album really impacts the live shows after recording that album. Like maybe you think of a new way to play the song, or you come up with an extra part that you really want to highlight in live shows.
Yeah. Well, I think it gives you more freedom to kind
Yeah.
of like you've got that bass in the record, but then
Right.
you can veer off of that, because if they want to hear that exact
Right.
replica of it, they can just throw the album on. But if you're playing a live
Yeah.
show,
It's going to be live.
you can change it up a bit
Yeah.
and make it a little more interesting for the people that are
Right.
going to see you in person.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. I'm thinking about it with like even lyrics. You might change a lyric, or you might change a melody or a harmony or a part that you would play a solo. You won't have to like learn the exact solo, but
Yeah.
you could.
What inspires some of the writing for the project?
Yeah, Colin and I were just talking about this like last night, that Colin has talked about, Colin's my husband. He's been on, he has, Yes, he
They'll
was
find
talking.
out.
We're gonna beep that part out.
We're not here to talk about him. He was talking about how he writes for Gold Dust and he writes for Silver Summer, and they're separate kind of pots and separate areas of inspiration. And I just don't have that. I'm not able to do that or willing to do that. Maybe it's like I write a song and then does it make more sense with given names or does it make more sense with Gold Dust? So yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say so. If you haven't watched the first cast with Laura, you should, because some of the best songwriting advice I've ever gotten was in that, where you talked about how you just kind of like write and write and write until you like find the thing that comes from that and then restructure from that. And I was wondering if when you're arranging for others and also like writing for just a larger group in general, does that change how you write from someone else's perspective, or do you assign them your own perspective?
I'm not sure that I totally understand the question, so I might need you to clarify it, but I'll answer what I think I understand and then tell me if I'm not right.
Sure.
So when I'm writing the lyrics out, when I'm just doing a free write, seldom do I go back in and change much. It's like whatever unfolds is what's there. And then it usually makes some kind of sense. So I'm not ever really writing from any particular perspective, except those are some phrases that I thought of that day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it is like the perspective of your writing session.
Yeah.
More. So it just it's not any different. It is kind of the same thing where it's all drawn from that kind of like creative energy.
That's where I'm at right then. Yeah.
That goes. Yeah, because earlier you just mentioned how you had done all the arrangements and stuff like that. And is that like written out sheet music or?
No, and I would say I don't do all the arranging. I would say I write like the skeleton structure of the song. And then I am just a huge believer in like bringing in people whose work you love and then letting them do cool stuff. Because that's why you invited them. So Michelle's percussion is just like so cool and expansive, and there are so many like emotional responses that I have to her performances, and I want her to do what she does. So she comes up with really cool parts that I could never write. Like I could never come up with. Same thing with Mandy, and same thing with Megan, where like tones that they find that they come up with are really cool and would take me a lot of like whatever it is, menu diving or diving into different guitars and different amps and stuff in order to find the sounds that they have found through a lifetime of being musicians.
It feels like it's when we get to the arranging part, it's like a collaborative experience. It's not each person saying, I'm just going to do this. It's like, what do you think of this? And then playing off of each other and getting input from the entire band, not just I'm the lead guitar and I'm going to do this line. Like, it's
get out of my way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's much more democratic.
Yeah.
So what is when you've written for the band, what does that end up looking like? Is it more like a key and a couple chord progressions and some lines?
Yeah. It's like I'll have like an acoustic song, basically, put on an electric guitar. And then I'll say, maybe there's a guitar solo here.
Yeah.
Maybe this line, maybe there's these couple of notes that sound cool. And then we come up with something off of that.
Yeah. And a lot of times, she'll give me the structure and then I'll take it home and play around with the leads and come back and, if we don't like it, we don't use it. We use something else. But it's just tweaking it until it feels right.
Yeah. So I think there is a lot of kind of on our own time. I'm just thinking with Michelle and Megan too that, it's just me. Michelle, Megan, Mandy, Laura.
No.
Gotta get an M name. Anyway, it's
Miss
a lot
Laura.
of Miss Laura. It's a lot of
Put an M in front of the L, Laura.
Yeah, Laura. It's beautiful. It just rolls right off the tongue.
What are some of the other projects that are like going through the band? You said that there was like other like you really appreciated the works of other people. What are the other projects that other folks in the band are working on?
Yeah.
Oh, just separately?
Yeah, just in general,
many
like you know
things.
what it seems it. When I was thinking about doing this cast, I reached out to like basically everyone in the band, and I was like, these people are all gonna be cast again, and for this and other times, like there's just so much stuff.
Yeah, super
right there.
creative. Super creative.
And like I don't even know what it all is, so that's
Yeah.
kind of like the heart of that question. Like Amanda, how did you end up, coming into the band? Was it just interpersonal relationships, or like how did you two meet?
Oh yeah.
Well, we met, a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I, when I taught at Scheidels, I got to know Colin, and then I got to know you through him.
That'll be beeped out again.
Yeah. But it was at the Jeremy Messersmith show, and we talked.
Yeah.
And she asked if I would be interested in playing in a band again, and which I hadn't been for a little while. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. And then I found out it was an all-female band, and I was like really on board. And then about like, I don't know, like a month later, we finally had our first practice. So that would have been August sometime.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. I had spent a long time, like 6 months, probably being like, Colin, do you think I should ask Mandy to be in the band? Like, he was like, yeah, go ahead. And I was like, okay, but what if she says no? It was like back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and
Are you
forth.
gonna send her a note?
I don't know what I was gonna do. And then finally at the Jeremy Messersmith show, I was like, I'm just gonna go ask her. And I did. And you were, of course, very lovely and kind. And
you should have asked me 6 months earlier. I totally would have said yes.
I'm a ridiculous person. But so yeah, that's how we started playing together. And then with the other projects that folks are involved in, I mean, it's just, they are legion. Michelle's like, I think at last count, it was like 12 other projects that she's playing with. I think that's true. And then she's also an amazing like actress, and she's directed plays, and she's, she teaches piano. I know it's bonkers. It's bonkers. She's so busy.
Yeah,
she's doing live sound. She's hosting an open mic,
That's probably why she's like booked out for like 3 months.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why she's not here today.
We're lucky to get her.
Yeah, exactly. And then Megan is a visual artist. She's really an incredible, incredible visual artist. And then her work in Given Names, I think, no, she plays with her husband, and she writes songs too. She just like was over a couple months ago and played a song on the piano. It was gorgeous. And I was like, what am I doing? We gotta get more of, because I think I know, like we all dabble. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of projects across the board, but I think, you prioritize the stuff that's really exciting. And I've always felt super pumped about this project and about playing with all of you all and writing with you all and performing. It just feels so good.
When was the genesis? When did Given Names start? Because I feel like I first heard about it like just pre-COVID, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
it was
what
like
it was.
right then, and there was that little bit on New on Public Access.
Oh yeah.
I saw that, and then I caught I think that was one of the last shows I caught. Probably was the one at the Wine Cafe, or was that after? I don't know anything about time anymore.
I don't either.
I call this my lost weekend. It's like 3 years of just
nothing.
Yeah. I don't know where I am or what I'm doing or what my name is half the time.
Yeah.
Well, Mandy's first show was the 4th, right?
Right. The show. Yeah. At the outdoor. It was so hot. Remember how hot it was?
And then
yes,
the one before that was the first show, right? With Silver Summer, you guys, and then Gold Dust.
Our first ever show was before COVID. So was that 2019? Is that when it happened?
I think so. I think Topher did sound
in like January at the Wine Cafe. Maybe it was January, maybe it was February.
I remember that I had wanted to go, but forgot the date, and then accidentally showed up, and then I was late for what I was supposed to do. I just stayed. I was like, sorry.
Oh, wait a minute. Our very first show was at Brian Frink's house, at the Poor Farm.
Hmm.
And that was like in the basement in the art gallery with Silver Summer. It was their first show too. And our friend David, who just moved to Maine, but he was getting started with a project. And we were given name without an S for the first 2 shows.
Hmm.
Fools.
Just singular
It's because,
fool.
just one. Because there was another band near Buffalo, New York. You forgot the state. I didn't. In Buffalo, New York, who had the name Given Names. And Colin actually wound up knowing somebody who was in that band. So it was this funny, like, can we have that name? You guys aren't doing anything with it. And so hopefully they don't sue us because they haven't been active with it. Yeah.
Then when we played in Winona, they accidentally put the wrong picture up, and there's another band named Given Names from Chicago, and it looks like they're inactive too. But it's like, yeah, apparently everybody on Earth has this band name.
Take the I and the V and make it a W with a dot on top of it. Like everyone's doing shit like that.
I know,
so just go for it. Like
how about
Given Names?
I think it could work.
Yeah. With
It's pronounced
Mandy,
Given.
Michelle, Melora.
It'll give us some metal cred.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. That's definitely, I think, the metal crowd is super into Given Names.
Oh yeah,
They love harmonies, those folks. They do.
What did we say?
They love
Gwivin names?
Whoa.
Taking names.
That's the next iteration, maybe.
Yeah.
So what's the timeline on the new album? When can we hear that?
Our first recording is Michelle's gonna record drums on the 20th of February. And so that's where it'll start. And then I don't think we have any other dates yet. But we will.
Is it a gold mine thing?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it'll be prompt, you know.
Yeah.
Everything always smooth and.
It'll be out. It'll be out.
I still have to write the leads for every song except 2. So
We have to like relearn them, basically.
Yeah.
You know, anytime, I don't know about you, but when we take time off, it's like, how do any of these songs go? And that has been a COVID-specific experience.
Do you think it's gotten better? And do you think that Given Names has become a more developed project over COVID, or you've changed the way that anyone thinks about it?
Well, that's a very thoughtful question, Jacob. I have to think about it. Do I think that it has changed the project, made us more like serious or professional? Or I think it makes performances more exciting because they don't happen as often, you know? So we're more thoughtful about getting the songs ready in time, having them at a certain level by the performance date, because we don't know when the next one is going to be. And it makes practice even more, I don't know, joyful or more of a release or...
yeah, well, just the fact that we never know from week to week if we're going to be able to be in a room together
Right.
because of COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it really drives home the importance of collaborating with other people and how lucky we are to be able to do it, because, you know, you never know if that's going to be taken away again.
Mm-hmm.
It's been interesting managing a handful of projects in that, like, kind of going from before to during and after. And I guess one of the questions I had when we were just talking about the variety of projects everyone's involved in is whether you have any like pillars of stability that have really let you like kind of manage them all, or like something that you draw on for making that work.
I've been super fortunate to, I'm working 3/4 time at my job. So that means today, Wednesdays, traditionally are days off for me. And so I work really hard to schedule in creative time on like at least one, what would be typically considered a work day a week. And then the other thing I was just thinking about the other day too is I've been just for me, just for my own like joy and experimentation. I've been working on some paintings, and there's space that's very specifically for that in the basement. And I use that space with a relative amount of frequency. And that's been really nice too, to be able to kind of just dip down and work on creativity and schedule it in at least one day a week. What about you?
Yeah. Well, so, I mean, I kind of had the rug pulled out from under me when COVID started because I was furloughed from my day job as an executive director. And then after being on furlough for a year, then I was laid off. And having that time really made me realize what I really value and what's really important to me. And I mean, the stability of a day job is great, but like I'm an artist and I'm a musician, and those are the things that matter the most. So I've really been focusing on diversifying the projects that I'm doing so I'm not relying on any one thing. Like with a day job, that can be taken away at any time. So, working on the mural downtown, I'm doing songwriting, playing with the band. I'm trying to branch out as much as possible and have my hands in a lot of different things and work with a whole bunch of different people. So I'm not stuck relying on one thing to fund my entire creative career.
Right.
How have things in general been with your relocation and just? I mean, it sounds like I've seen more of your output online recently. I don't know if it's because I've been paying more attention to Instagram or what, but I mean, how are things on the arts front?
Well, I'm living in a building now that's full of artists of all disciplines. You have to be an artist to live there. So I have studio spaces available to me. I'm going to be connecting with my community. There's going to be an events committee and an exhibition committee, and there's chances to collaborate and get to know the people I'm living with, which is super helpful. I mean, there's the same COVID issues up there that we have in Mankato. So, there's still shows getting canceled and stuff. But if I'm meeting more people and working on stuff, this can be like a good incubator time. And then when we are allowed to be out in public again and be in the same room again, then we can bring that stuff to light. But, you just have to roll with it.
Yeah. I really relate to that. I don't know if you all do too, but that concept of like just looking again, kind of taking that little bit of a bird's eye view and looking at your life and being like, oh, creativity, like this is such an important part of my identity. And that's what so many of us were drawn to at the beginning of the pandemic and throughout the pandemic.
That's how we survived the pandemic. If it wasn't for music and film and books and visual art, I mean, all of that stuff, that's how we kept from going crazy.
Right. Yeah.
So, it's to go back to the way things were beforehand. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also I wanted to just speak to, I think Laura mentioned briefly when she's talking about her basement, but having like an actual space to do that and like get out of your head and like having a studio close to Collins now, when I go there, it's a completely different experience than like being at my house playing guitar or anything like that. So I'm sure living where you live, like when everyone's at the practice spaces, I can just like feel the like creative energy of everybody working. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, how do you feel, Zach? I mean, you started working for us, and you don't work at a regular. You just do stuff now.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it, but like, how has that changed things for you?
Well, I guess I have to do exactly what Laura does, and like with this job, because it's not like a punch in, punch out job, I have to like do it in my head. So I have to like actively be like, I'm gonna make sure I do 2 hours of creative stuff today. Especially because I work at my studio, so then it can kind of be hard to separate. But Yeah.
Certainly.
When I show up to the studio, though, it's such a like my brain switches. Like it's like creative time now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that when I walk into that place, there's a lot of just like there's always something. Walk in, you can hear music from somewhere, and like it might not even be where you're going. You know, it's very interesting space to go into.
Yeah.
You need that energy of other people. You can't just be isolated all the time. I mean, we need some of that, but not constantly.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it definitely didn't feel good during COVID. Like I did not get my creative juices from like normally I recharge away from people. Like I'm very social, but you know when I'm like on my own, I recharge my batteries, and like then I was like, oh, I want to talk to anyone or do anything, and like just knowing that I could or should not, you know, kind of hurt a little bit, and I didn't get a whole lot done.
Yeah.
It's hard. I'm the same way. I'm totally introverted. I was like, oh, I'd be able to handle this fine. No, I could handle it for a little while, but after that, you got to be around people again.
Yeah.
You know?
And in like genuine, authentic ways that are sometimes kind of unstructured. Like I'm thinking about what I wound up doing in order to kind of develop structure was there. I started like 16 book clubs, and that was great, but then that was not great because you're not just getting you don't just get to be in the moment and spontaneous with people. You have like an agenda for every Zoom meeting that we were doing. And that was draining.
I think it's kind of like how like the cat wants the door open, but he doesn't want to go outside.
Sure.
Like I don't want to go hang out with people, but it'd be nice to know I could.
But don't tell me I can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then I might want to.
Yeah, exactly.
We just don't like being told what to do.
Yeah.
I feel that all this. I feel like one of the weird things, especially with working in the service industry at any point, is you get this like weird benefit of having very small interactions that are positive with people all day. It's like these little pleasantries that go on, like, and I think that those are some of the most beneficial things to me because I was always able to like reach out and like, you know, find someone I could talk to. I could call or Zoom or whatever. But like I just missed people.
Yeah.
You know? And like they come with a lot of bullshit. But this is I'm gonna wrap a moral into this story. It's be nice.
Yeah.
Because like it really does, like, you know, that small interaction in the grocery store of like waving or saying hi to someone or just being polite, like that I feel like that's like a lot of my happiness is built around like just general like a feeling of kindness in society or at least camaraderie, because I felt the same thing too when people were out, you know, marching for like racial justice. I got that same kind of like feeling of like, oh, people want to make things better. And yeah, I mean, I just feel like those are so important to mental health. We got off topic.
Yeah, it feels good.
That's what the podcast's for.
Well, should we talk more? I mean, we could talk more about the live session, but that seems hardly helpful.
Yes, I mean that doesn't. It is helpful, I guess. What are you gonna play? What do you got for us? What are you dishing up? People gotta know what to
People are
expect.
clamoring.
Do we have groupies?
Yeah, definitely.
They're mostly in this room. Like, it's like I remember when I first saw Given Names, I was like, ooh, that's the instrumentation that I like. Like I saw it, I was immediately excited. I was like, I want there to be 5 more bands like this, and there can be a little scene. I can be like, ooh. It's gonna be great.
I know.
That's really interesting though, with you being a bass player and we don't have a bass.
Oh, well.
You know? That surprises me.
You ever want to lick? I can play E and G and B.
Hey. Nice. Yeah, I don't know what we're gonna play. I feel like we shouldn't play any of the stuff that we played on the New Ulm Public Access show. On that show. But gal, I don't know. Not sure. What do you want to hear?
Well, I mean, if I could ask for a morsel of new thing.
Oh yeah.
You know, just really anything. I mean, I'm excited. I don't actually know what the location looks like because I haven't been there. But I actually tell me what the location.
Are we? Are we
We're talking
doing
about
that now?
the thing. I mean, I don't see why not.
Is it confirmed? If it's not confirmed, I just wouldn't want to talk about it.
It's gonna be cool, all right.
Yeah, let's keep that a secret.
It's gonna be at a secret spot.
Just know if you feel good on January 30th, it's because of given names shooting with us.
Yes, in a
Feeling
great
extra
location.
creative.
In a really great location. Yeah, we do have a new song, but we haven't ever practiced it together yet. So that is the plan for our next practice.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Is to nail that one down. It's got some more piano in it. Like I play piano in it.
Does that mean there's two keyboards, or does Megan decide and do another?
No, she'll do keyboard stuff too. Yeah, because have we done owls yet?
We did at the show in September.
Yeah, but I don't think we've done a recording of it yet. So we can do that. Because I did it on guitar. On
I like
this
that song.
little cast. Thank you.
I like that one.
Thanks. So it'll be 2 piano songs. And then some other ones.
Neat.
They're going to be great.
One of the things that I've, as I've experienced a bunch of like, I like watching things like that, like band performances, and it seems like what works the best is like curating it for a show that is on the internet. So like, starting strong with like something that's either familiar or interesting, and then like from there kind of setting the boundaries of your project a little bit, like going up or down energy, and then but just like it's fun to think about like what you would take from your catalog that would kind of communicate a certain
Like making
flow.
a mixtape.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting because I'm thinking more about it now, and the songs that we've done in the past for performances that have been filmed have been kind of the poppier ones and less of. There's one song that I just play C the whole entire time. We've never done a recording of that because that doesn't feel like exciting enough. But other people are doing super cool stuff, so I could get out of my head on that one.
That sounds like right up my alley. I'm a big fan of C.
Super droney.
Yeah.
I think I capo it on one, if I remember right. On that one. I was like that. You'll recognize it. Yeah.
That is actually a move that I have seen.
Yeah.
Do. That's
It's trademarked. Taking names. Trademarked.
Well, it sounds like it'll be a great time. So we can have everybody looking forward to that.
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome.
Why don't we? Is there anything else you want to talk about here? We want to air. We could talk a little bit about Buddy Holly. That's been a really fun production. I guess.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure.
I feel like I'd like to just a little bit. Well,
Please.
it's happening. It's been for those who don't know, we're doing production on it, sound and lighting, and then Laura is an actress on it, doing the role of the DJ. And I like how you plug your Goodnight Gold Dust show on there. That's cute.
Slip of the tongue.
Gold Dust Radio.
Yeah. In the script, it says my Moon Dust show.
Yeah,
and
it's close.
so close. It's so close.
It's close. I'm always like excited for people to laugh.
Yeah.
And I think it hasn't really inspired any big laughs yet, but it's a good line.
Yeah. The first time we did it, the director really didn't want us changing any of the lines, and so the very last show I changed it, and he laughed really loud. So I'm chasing that dragon.
Awesome.
But I feel like this production, there's such a sense of community. I know that's typical of theater, but this, to me anyway, feels even more like maybe because we're still in the midst of a global pandemic, right? Maybe that's part of the reason that it feels so like we're all together in this. And thank God we get to do something so like fun and exciting and light. And there are such incredible performers, and everybody who's in that play is just like knocking it out of the park. So it just feels, it feels really inspiring to watch it and be a part of it for me.
It's quite literally all people that are my friends.
Yeah.
I think Tom Clemens is the only person I came in like not being friends with.
And he's so delightful.
Yeah, he's absolutely a delight to work with.
Yeah.
I'm sad he's moving.
I know.
It has been a really fun project, and it's been cool to see. I think it's been cool to see a lot of the musicians that we've worked with in other contexts, like do a theater show like that too.
Yeah.
And they're all such a good fit. Like everyone who's hitting one of those roles is really right for it, so that helps.
Right.
It's been very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I think about Ryan Rader because he had never. He keeps saying, like, I've never been on this side of theater before, so he's probably been in pit and stuff like that. But he's acting, and I think he's doing such a great job. I just think he's doing such a great job, and he has a really hard job, like playing drums for so many different singers and performers. It's like super hard work.
There's some iconic drum beats in there too.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Slapping thing, Jerry.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's great.
Very cool show. If you, well, this will be out after it's finished, so sorry you missed it.
Yeah.
And if you got to catch it, hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
And we're talking about maybe trying to figure out if we can travel with it, or got some news on that today that fingers are crossed around. So
I could, that seems like it could be a fun thing to bring to like the ballrooms that would have hosted those acts.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
right.
I've been, that's actually been one of the things I would want to talk about. It's been really cool to see who shows up for that show because it's an audience that I've never really seen show up for stuff before, and they all love it. It's just like a throwback to when they were like listening to records on whatever they listen to records on at the time. But everyone seems to have
a record player.
Right? Well, I mean, there was other things
It's good.
happening.
Be vague. Don't know
it's
much.
okay. I can handle this.
He's literally a DJ.
I know. But yeah,
it's
totally.
Been
No,
great to see the community
I hear
response.
what you're saying. Yeah, definitely. And to see folks who maybe even like some of the people who have come up at the end of the show have talked about how they saw Buddy Holly at the Cato Ballroom when he played there. And that's just so, and every time I'm backstage, there are those like plasticky kind of couches and seating around the pillar. And just thinking about like who has sat on this, right? Thinking about like the Big Bopper and Richie Valens and Buddy Holly and all of these incredible musicians, these incredibly historically, relevant musicians who played on this stage in this building and sat on these seats. It's just like overwhelming to think about it too much for me in a really exciting way. So you can't do that when you got to go out and say lines, but you can do it when you're just watching people. It's just such a cool thing.
I had to watch that Big Bopper perform. I was so I saw the play and then I was confused. I was like, why is this man with the phone? And I didn't know what was going on. And then I watched it. Like there's just recordings on YouTube or whatever, and I watched it. And I was like, oh, that's just like how it kind of went.
Yeah.
So I didn't really. I still don't quite understand. Like it's very odd because in all the YouTube recordings, like everyone claps on the 1 and the 3.
Yeah.
And I don't understand. It's like they're in a cult or something. And when did we stop with that? I mean, I'm a big fan of not, but like the whole crowd, like they go over the crowd, they're like.
Yeah. I'm feeling seen because I consistently clap on the 1 and 3, and I get torn apart for it. It's just what I want to do. It's just what my body wants to do.
You had the 1 and 3 clap there too. You were just.
Syncopated.
You gotta write a song for that.
I have.
We need a given names song where everybody claps on the.
Yeah.
You should.
Oh, please.
And you should shame anyone who does anything else.
Yeah. How dare you?
Get that 2 and 4 out of there.
Go to some other show.
Make the whole thing in 5 and force people to clap on 1 and 3.
Yeah, I'll just sing. Because this doesn't lend itself to the 5. It's my one move.
All right. Well, we want to do a plug. Where do people find given names? Where do we go about it?
We made an Instagram.
We have one post.
Yeah, we could do another one right now.
We can be a great second post. Yes.
I'll do it.
Oh, and Facebook.
Yeah, we've got one of those.
And stickers. I have 2
Got
stickers.
stickers.
T-shirts.
Cool.
We've got T-shirts. Cheapers.
I still need to get one.
Yeah, we've got
Me
plenty.
too. I could use a T-shirt.
They're really nice. I really like those T-shirts a lot. So you could get some of those things. You could stop us if you see us in the grocery store or at the wine cafe. More likely. Yeah, we're gonna be recording as we mentioned, so you can. I'm sure we'll post those on the songs themselves, maybe on like Bandcamp for purchase digitally, and then I suspect that at some point we'll print. Ugh. It's just
the
so
album when it
spendy.
releases.
Yeah.
Well,
someday.
here's hoping that when it's actually done, we can actually like have
Oh.
a show.
Yeah.
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 And,
We'll play it
and
out a
play
bit.
the new songs.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be great in like the summertime or something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, remember
And
summer.
if you just want to listen to it now, I think the public access one's probably the best
Yeah.
video.
Probably.
Is
I
that
think
on
so.
YouTube too?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Last I checked, it was.
What was it? The snowed in sessions?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Good.
Yeah, they were cool. It was fun to do. It felt good. We were really like, we knew how to play those songs.
I know we just did plugs, but right now I just got a question from our Instagram, and I was wondering if you could answer it quick.
Ooh.
It's pretty simple, and it kind of relates to something we already asked, but my friend is asking when he's an artist, and whenever he tries to work with words, it's incredibly difficult for him because he's much better with the visual medium. And he's wondering, does writing lyrics ever feel that like when you're showing, like when you're writing lyrics, he's wondering, do you ever feel like you're showing too much of yourself or being too vulnerable? Because with him, it's way easier to kind of hide behind when he's painting. And then also, are there times when lyrics you completely scrap them because they're like almost too personal or too vulnerable?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I scrap 90% of the lyrics I write because it's a sheet of paper that I fill in, right? I'm saying that like it's a worksheet. It's just a piece of paper and I write words on it.
You're just like stream of consciousness.
Yep, just stream of consciousness, exactly. Automatic writing. And I force myself to keep going. One, I think it was, Linda Berry. She's a visual artist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, great. That's who I'm talking about then. I went to a workshop with her and she was talking about how if you are writing and you lose your train of thought or you don't know what to write next, just like draw circles inside of circles inside of circles so that your pen is still moving. And so that's something that I try to do, just like keep my pen moving no matter what and remind myself, just like use tons and tons and tons of self-compassion, because that's where I find that's when we stop, is when we're judging ourselves too harshly. And I know I don't have to use, and I'm not going to use all of it. So just keep writing something new, something that is not the exact same word that you just wrote. Some other phrase, some other thing that you remember hearing when you were little, or, something that's just comes into your mind. And then the way that I do it, right, is I'll circle phrases or words that look good to me or sound good to me. And because I have so many sort of sieves that it's already going through, I don't ever wind up with something that feels too personal because I've had so many choices that I've made about what I'm going to include. by the end of it. And then maybe at the end of that, if it's like, all right, I need another verse, then I'll have to go back in and maybe it'll be based on, I think that happened with Owls. Like I had to write another verse and I was like, all right, well, I can do something sort of formulaic, but I don't like doing that because then it feels forced to me. Lyrics feel forced. And I really like more impressionistic anything, really. I really love impressionistic, like bring your own perspective to it. So I don't love talking about like what lyrics are about because they're not always about anything. Like it's just a bunch of words that I thought sounded nice together. And then it gets to be whatever it's about for you, first and foremost. And I can tell you what it's about for me, but that's almost less important. I know that I've meandered, but I feel like it's stuck.
I actually found that really helpful.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah, that was
personally
awesome.
Okay.
I'm personally struggling writing lyrics myself, and I think it's because I put too much weight
Yeah.
to the words.
Yeah.
And so that was really helpful for me. And the person that asked the question, I know personally, so I can ask if it was helpful for them. But I think you did answer it.
Sure.
Just basically don't be afraid to just like really just start writing, and don't be
Yeah.
afraid to get rid of all of it.
Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Because that's something that like Brian Frink talks about a lot with art, like give it all away, make stuff and don't get too attached to it. Don't get too precious with it. Because if you do, if it's like, this is the only song I'm going to write this month, then you put so much more pressure on it and it almost doesn't have the opportunity to become something unexpected because it needs to be a thing, So I've tried before to do more like just more. And that it's kind of taxing, I guess. It takes up a lot of time for me to it takes like 2.5 hours to like write a song from beginning to end. And that's a chunk of your day, that could be a Wednesday activity, certainly.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not really a come home from work and then go do that. Like I don't have the bandwidth for it.
Really cut into my staring at the wall. Dying time.
Sorry, I stepped on your joke. Sighing was the second part of it.
That reminds me, someone told me this thing once, and that you basically just said the same thing, but I was struggling with being too precious about my music too, and someone told me to make sandwich music. Like it was like imagine that you're a working musician, like you're working in a kitchen, like make 1,000 sandwiches before you try and like put out, like the best thing ever, because like you need to be good at it first. And I was like,
sure,
it worked.
Yeah.
I felt it. So.
And I think you've said this before, and I totally subscribe to this too, that like, let's put more out there that's not perfect yet, like let's play shows when we don't feel ready, because that's so incredibly inspiring to folks who maybe have always wanted to, or don't think that they can, or don't think that they're good enough. In our little book club, we read a book about Riot Girl, and they were talking about that movement, and they were talking about kind of the punk rock movement. They were talking about just like getting on stage when you're not ready on purpose, so that you can inspire people around you to be willing to like take a risk. And I think that feels like a helpful kind of philosophy around songwriting for me too. Like just make it, just like get it out there.
Well, look what happened, a couple of months ago when the Beatles documentary came out, and people were freaking out because they're watching Paul McCartney write Get Back in real time.
Yeah.
Like there's magic
Yeah.
in seeing the unfinished product.
Totally.
and seeing where it goes,
Yeah.
and what the artist's mind does with it. And there's a guy that I follow on social media. His name's Austin Kleon, and he writes these books on creativity, and he's got a book called Show Your Work. He's like, people who do not create stuff are like so fascinated by the process of it. It's second nature to us, but to them it's like, this mysterious alchemy that happens. And I think we as artists forget that.
Right.
We're like, it's okay to put out something that's not completely perfect, because they want to see how it comes to life.
Right. And it can just make it feel more doable
Mm-hmm.
for other folks. And when you were saying that, it made me think too about like, there are some lines that that Paul sings and that John sings throughout that 9-hour documentary, right? Which, I mean, we devoured. It was incredible. But where you're like, that obviously was not the line.
Oh, yeah.
Like they show it all.
Yeah,
They show
yeah.
the moments where he's just mumbling through a line to get to the next line.
When George is singing something and John's like, attracts me like a cauliflower.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid at the time, but
yeah. They didn't stick with it, but they had to get that before they could get.
Yeah. And just
no
being
other
able
lover.
to see, like, oh yeah, they struggled with that too.
Right.
Because you think they're the
Yeah.
pros are like gods.
Yeah. Everything
like,
comes out fully formed.
No, we're all doing the same thing.
Right.
That's what I'm always saying. There just need to be more bands, like just more
Yeah.
and more bands in Mankato, because like it is, we have like a really great sense of community, and there's a lot of really great gigging musicians. But like if we had, just generally more in multi-band shows, more people would aspire to the stage.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's kind of where I see a little bit of the disconnect, is because there's a lot of people who are in it, but like I don't see anyone like looking at any of those stages like, oh, I want to be there. Like I want to make a band next week, and like we're gonna play that with these guys, like.
Yeah.
And I feel like that energy would go a long way.
Yeah.
So I hope that some of the efforts that basically everyone in this room makes, and the other people who are playing music in Mankato contribute to that cause.
Yeah. And you know what it makes me think about is like when I moved here in 2009. That's how we say it. When I moved here in 2009, I played a lot of open mics because I didn't know. It seemed like that's where you started. And like having more open mics now, I think is a great place for people to try stuff out and get on some stages and get a little bit more comfort with that. Because I know when we've been to a couple of the open mics that Michelle hosts at the Wine Cafe, I felt really excited and inspired by seeing people who I had never seen before and I had never seen play. And so I think that's definitely a step in that direction. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, more is more. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we have everything here for it. Like we have the raw talent. We have like the number of people. I like every week I think about all the people who go up to Minneapolis to see a show that they could have seen here, and I'm like, I want. Gimme.
Yeah. Well, let's wrap it up there.
Sure.
Cool. Thanks for answering the questions.
Yeah.
I appreciated your answer too. Actually, that was nice.
Good.
But thank you both for joining us on the podcast this evening. It was great to chat with you, and I'm excited for the upcoming capture. I think it'll be sweet and like the project.
Thanks.
We're looking forward to it.
for having us.
Cool. Check them out on the internets.
Giving
Later.
names. Mandy and Laura.
Laura.
More with the like, M and... All right.
Nice.